Hello guys, welcome to Memo's Tutorials. We are continuing with our Gr10 Life Science, and today we are looking at week 2, which is Biosphere to Ecosystems, and the subtopic that we are looking at is Biosphere and Biomes. So now, looking at the word biosphere, we can see that it is made up of two words. It's bio and sphere. So bio means life, and then the sphere means ball. Okay, so we are saying the biosphere is a global ecosystem composed of living organisms and the non-living organisms. The living part of the biosphere, we call it the biotic, and then the non-living part, we call it the abiotic. Okay, so we are saying it's a global ecosystem composed of living organisms and the non-living organisms from which they derive energy and nutrients. Therefore, we are saying the biosphere is referred to as a global ecosystem because all living organisms on Earth live in it. And this biosphere is divided into three. We have the atmosphere, the lithosphere, and the hydrosphere. We'll start off by looking at the atmosphere. We are saying the atmosphere is the air part, and we're saying this is a layer of gases surrounding the Earth. And why is the atmosphere so important? The atmosphere is very important because it absorbs the dangerous UV rays from the sun, the ultraviolet rays from the sun. They are dangerous, they threaten life on Earth, so the atmosphere absorbs it, thereby protecting life on Earth. And then we have the lithosphere. This one is the rocky outer part of the Earth. It is made up of brittle crust and the top part of the upper mantle. So we are saying the lithosphere is the coolest and most rigid part of the Earth. Remember, we have the core. The core is very hot. It's extremely hot. So the lithosphere shields living organisms from the heat of the Earth's core. It kind of protects us from the extreme heat that is inside the Earth's core. It also contains ionic compound which allows plants and animals to exist, making it easy for us to get yields after planting our crops. It has about nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which is very important for the growth and development of plants. That's where we get our food. That's it on the lithosphere. So we have also the hydrosphere. Hydro means water. So this is the combined mass of water found. It can be found on Earth, under the Earth, and above the surface of the Earth. So now we are saying we have lakes, we have rivers, we have springs, we have oceans, we have salt water and fresh waters. And the good thing about this hydrosphere is that it is a home to a wide diversity of aquatic plants and animal life. We have a lot of plants that live in water, that survive in water, some in fresh water, some in salt waters, and we also have a lot of animals that live in water. And then we have, now the next question is, how does the biosphere interact with other spheres? So what happens is, if there is an imbalance in the atmosphere, it's definitely going to affect the lithosphere. And if there's something wrong with the lithosphere, it will affect the hydrosphere. So in other terms, we are saying these spheres, they don't exist independently. If that's the proper English way to say, they depend on each other. Any error that happens on any of the spheres will affect the other spheres at the end of the day. So we are saying the disturbances in one sphere affects the other spheres. For example, we can look at deforestation, which results it leads to increased erosion of soil. A lot of soil will be swept, and where is this upper layer of the lithosphere going? When now erosion is taking place, it's affecting the upper layer of the lithosphere, right? It's being eroded and it's being sent into rivers. Now when it's sent into a river, it's now affecting which sphere? Hydrosphere. The hydrosphere is our rivers, lakes, dams, and everything. All those water bodies are our hydrosphere. So now that we have cut trees on the lithosphere that had grown there, we cut them. Now there's erosion taking place as wind and rain taking place. Is it raining and the wind? There's erosion taking place. Now when erosion takes place, all those soil particles are being sent to the hydrosphere. The hydrosphere is now affected. The fact that we are cutting down a lot of trees, we are now affecting even the atmosphere. Remember, plants, they release carbon dioxide into they absorb carbon dioxide during photosynthesis and release oxygen into the atmosphere. So now that we have removed a lot of plants, it means that we don't have the plants that used what? To absorb the carbon dioxide. At the end of the day, the atmosphere is also affected. There is now accumulation of carbon dioxide. We now have a lot of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere because people are clearing the land. So I'm sure you can see the atmosphere has been affected, and the lithosphere together with the hydrosphere. But which one was disturbed first? We disturbed the lithosphere, which ended up leading to the disturbance of the atmosphere and the disturbance of the what? Of the hydrosphere. So in other terms, we are saying if you disturb one part of the biosphere, it's going to affect all the other parts. Ne? So in other terms, we are saying these spheres are closely connected. They are closely connected. Like for example, we have many birds that fly through the air. When they are flying in the atmosphere. While water, which is the hydrosphere, often flows through the soil. Water, it flows through the soil, which is what? The lithosphere. So we are saying they are closely connected. So this means that a change in the atmosphere can cause a change in the hydrosphere and vice versa. It can also happen. Ne? So now we are moving on to biomes, and we are saying the biosphere is divided up into a number of biomes. And then the question will be memory, what is a biome? So we are saying a biome is a collection of plants and animals that have common characteristics for the environment they exist in. Okay, make sure you master that definition. So we are saying these biomes have distinct biological communities that have formed in response to a shared physical climate. We have temperature range, soil type, and the amount of light and water. They are very unique to a particular place. It's not the same everywhere. So this is what is used to define a biome. So when we're looking at a biome, we are looking at we are focusing on the collection of plants and those of animals, and these they have common characteristics for the environment that they exist in. We have certain plants and animals that can exist on land, and certain certain types of plants and animals that can exist in salt water, and some that can exist in fresh water. So that's what we look at when we're looking at biomes. So we have biomes, and they are grouped into two categories. We have terrestrial biomes. Terrestrial means land. It is an area of land with a similar climate that includes similar communities of plants as trees, such as trees, shrubs, grasses, and animals. So we have animals and plants that exist on land, perfectly on land. And then the other biome is aquatic biomes. Aquatic, now we're looking at water. So the aquatic again is divided into two. We have fresh waters in marine regions. The other ones are salty. So we have plants and animals that survive better in marine regions, and the other ones that survive better in freshwater regions. Okay, so with that being said, we are going to look at the South African terrestrial biomes, and we are saying South Africa has 9 biomes based on vegetation types that share similar ecological characteristics. So each biome is a characteristic climate envelope or a range and pattern of temperature and rainfall pattern with which it occurs. Ne? So we are saying we have grassland, we have savanna, we have arid savanna, succulent karoo, we have nama karoo, we have forest, we have fynbos, we have desert and thicket. Those are the 9 that we have in South Africa. So now, on our next lesson, I'll do a screen recording where we'll be looking at the map of South Africa to see where do we, so that you can have a look to see where is fynbos, where is succulent karoo, which part is succulent karoo, which part do we have nama karoo, which part do we have arid savanna, which part do we have grassland, and which part do we have the eastern forest as well. So I'm going to do a screen recording to explain that one. But then now let's move on to how climate, soils, and vegetation influence organisms. How does the climate, the type of soil, and vegetation influence organisms? So now we are looking at the key factors. We are saying the key factors determining climate are average annual precipitation, so which is the average annual rainfall that is received in a particular area, and also the temperatures that are received in that are present in that particular area. And then we are saying the specific conditions of biomes determine the communities of plants, the animals, and soil organisms in a particular biome. And we are also saying that the climate affects the soil. For example, soil can be dried out and rearranged during drought or windy weather. So as the soil dries out, plant growth is reduced, and which reduces the stability of the surface layer and causes more erosion, more and more erosion. I'm sure you can see, picture a desert setup to say in a desert the soil is dried out, there's so much erosion due to wind, even when it rains there's so much erosion, and now it then going to determine what type of crops are going to be grown in that particular area. So we are saying vegetation can affect climate and weather patterns due to the release of water vapor during photosynthesis. Remember, um, during photosynthesis, there's water vapor release, and also especially respiration water vapor is released as well. So the release of vapor into the air alters the surface energy fluxes and leads to potential cloud formation or rain. So the type of vegetation that is there can determine the amount of rain that is going to be received in that particular area. That's why we are saying vegetation influences the types of organisms that can survive in that particular area. And then under the aquatic biomes, we are saying water covers a major portion of the Earth's surface. That's a fact. So aquatic biomes contain a rich diversity of plants and animals. We have a lot of plants and animals that are living in water. And this aquatic these aquatic biomes, we are saying they're divided into two. We have fresh water. Fresh water will simply mean that there's low salt content in this one. For example, in ponds, they are not salty, lakes are not salty, streams are not salty, rivers and wetlands, these ones, they are less salty. So we have a type of plants, different types of plants, different types of animals that exist better in freshwater ecosystems. And then we have marine, these ones, they've got high salt content such that you can't even drink the water. For example, we've got oceans, we have coral reefs and estuaries. These ones are salty, and we are saying we have organisms that grow better, live better in these salty biomes. I hope you are together. Then the next thing, we have an activity there that you guys need to do on page 19. So I'm going to come with, I'll make a video where we'll be doing these activities together, and then we take it from there. That's all for week 2, life sciences. Then week 3, again, we are still doing biosphere to ecosystems, but we're going to be looking at environment and ecosystems. Bye.